Welcome to another episode of the Read Pile. It has been probably a month since I last recorded one of these. I had a bunch stockpiled up for October for the intention of kind of some spooky stuff, and then I was going out of town, and then I got sick. But we're back with Hellboy and the B.P.R.D, The Secret of the Chesbro House, and others. So there's three main types of Hellboy books. There's the original graphic novels, those that collect a miniseries, and like this, it is a collection of one-shots, and in this case, one two-issue story. So we've got 5 stories here, 6 issues total. This is the title book is the two-issue one, and a bunch of different artists. All of it, honestly, this is all written by Mignola. There's a couple of co-writers as well. There's gonna be breasts. There are breasts right in the first story, and the art is gorgeous. I kind of wish Dan weren't going to censor this, but he probably is. Anyway, we start in Greece back in '62. Apparently, Hellboy defeated a Minotaur, and he lingers. He thinks there's something else going on at this place, and he sees this goat, chases it down this giant hole. He kind of stumbles like Homer Simpson style. And then we get this 2-page spread, and this is really where the fantastical art starts. But basically, there's a bunch of fawns running around in this secluded area, this part of Greece that has been untouched for thousands of years. And Hellboy winds up wearing a toga, which I think is awesome. So they are looking for his help because they were cursed by Aphrodite again many, many years ago. And there's talk of a Cyclops that comes each year to destroy their town, and he's like, of course it's happening right now. So it's Hellboy versus a Cyclops, and oh man, it's so good. It's so great. I love Greek mythology, but then Aphrodite shows up. She's enormous, and she's about to step on them, and each time we cut back to them, they're a little bit lower. It's so good, and the art. Here's a panel. So their breasts are covered up. We can show the whole thing. This is a, I believe, French artist based on additional information here in the back. So there's covers, there's sketches, there's a bit of the process material, and I want to look this guy up because it says here, prolific career in comics, particularly French. Yeah, there's definitely some of these creators that I want to check out because just gorgeous art. I've repeated myself many times now, but Walter I'm familiar with. Laszlo, I believe, because this looks familiar. I couldn't name anything off the top of my head, and then I don't know Shawn McManus either, but the second story, the Chesbro House, this is a haunted house story. And what's weird, what I find weird, is I now hear, when I'm reading Hellboy comics, I now hear the audiobook narrator in my head. So every time he's like, "Aw, crap." It's, I think, great. But there's a haunted house story. There's a seance trying to summon a ghost so that they can then, resolve whatever needs resolving. And there's smoke and apparitions and paintings falling off the wall, and it leads to some typical Hellboy stuff going on. It's there's a monster, of course, but the humans in this are fantastic, and all of the things that they say and some of the things they do, and it's a great story. No spoilers. It burns down. Old Man Whittier is a follow-up, and check this out. For the first time in I can't remember how long, we get an asterisk with an editor note linking to a previous story. Thank you. Thank you so much. This is not sarcasm, even if it sounds like it is, but seriously, just this much is extremely helpful, because at least now there's a point of reference to go back. This is clearly a follow-up on a previous story, and it helps immensely. So this, again, I think is just perfect art for the story. It's not quite a haunted house story, but there is a woman that's returning to a childhood home that she hasn't been to in 30 years, and because Hellboy's there, of course, something strange is going on, and that something strange is a dude full of snakes. So there's that, but you know, it's awesome. It's really well written, it's well drawn, ends well. Miser's Gift and Time is a River. And Miser's Gift and Time is a River are related stories. Again, based on the notes at the back of the book, this was supposed to be a one-shot, but it doesn't end well for one of the characters, so they wound up going back to that story and doing a follow-up in order to help resolve that one character's story. But this is... it's kind of a ghost story. Well, no, it is a ghost story. So, in this case, there's a guy, this is Budapest. There's a guy who accidentally runs across a ghost, helps him, gets paid ghost currency, and then because of that has just repercussions from having a ghost coin that he wants to give back. So they enlist this guy who knows that Budapest is haunted, that it has there's basically ghost portions of the city that materialize that you can visit, and they find one of these in order to find the ghost, confront it, give the coin back. He's like this. Awesome. I mean, it's amazing. They wind up giving the coin back, except these two make it back, except the old man doesn't. So that's what the second story is about, and you can see him there. You can see this horse person. Supposedly, based on the story, it's a horse lady. But Hellboy is still there, Budapest, the same year, which I'm thankful for, because sometimes you never know. You might go back to the same place years later, but there's some immediate weirdness where he's teleported from a house to a river, and maybe this lady is now the horse lady. I think the clothing might match. Yeah, the clothing matches. So I don't know what's up with that, but he winds up back in Budapest, runs back into the old man who is now about to be burned, and the city is underwater and everyone's traveling by boats. I don't know what's up with that either, but it's great. I loved it. I loved every story in this book. That's not necessarily always the case. It's generally true, but this was fantastic from start to finish. I loved it. Highly recommended. Even if you've never read Hellboy before, I think you could jump in. The wonderful thing, I think, about Hellboy is most people just treat him as if he's another dude. There's sort of a stretch of B.P.R.D. where people are treating Abe differently, and that's the closest that I think Hellboy ever gets to the discrimination that somebody like the X-Men face, because they're different, but Hellboy is generally just accepted as a person, not as a demon to be feared. And it's one element of the story that I particularly love, and this also shows that off, because he's back in time. I don't remember if it's like the 1700s or something, and he's boating around Budapest and runs into a guy, and he's just like, oh yeah, this is the devil, and he's about to take that madman's soul. They just accept him as is, and it's one of my favorite Hellboy elements of the story. Anyway, I loved it. If you couldn't tell, I'm repeating myself, but it's fantastic. I love it. Highly recommended.